Everybody, we are live. We have comments here for my monthly visit, says Ryan, after every Forest win. Very good, only once a month. Firstly, Happy New Year to everybody. Sorry there was no preview show. It was just really tight, and I had to work on New Year's Eve. Finally, hello, Eva Adam. I did say 6:30. I just put it up a little bit earlier, just to create a little bit of a buzz, hopefully. Yeah, I was working on New Year's Eve. I planned to either do it at work or the next morning. I got in at 3 a.m., so I didn't do it. So I'm not going to be referring back to any predictions I made because I didn't make any. But that said, still all 12 teams played in the championship yesterday, New Year's Day, and now you get the little break before the FA Cup. Evans out, says Matt, first Ipswich comment. Forest Leeds, an absolute cracker. That's going to be our first one we talk about, Ben. But just in general terms on the table, I've been talking about a 3-horse race now for 3 or 4 weeks, Norwich, Leeds and West Brom. But they've all decided, those top 3, to have little blips at the same time. Leeds have had no points in the last 2 games. Norwich have had 1 point and West Brom only 1 point. So they've all stuttered at the same time. And that top 6 has really squidged up. Sheffield United have been the biggest benefactors in there. But everybody all squidged up. Matthew says 1 down to 10th looks wide open. There's a little bit of a gap, but I take Matthew's point there. So it's all squeezed up, and it is no longer a 3-horse race. I think it goes Leeds, then 2 points to Norwich, then 2 points to Sheffield United now, and then West Brom below them. The other narratives, Hull continue their utterly ridiculous run. The top 3 in the form table is now Hull, Sheffield United, Bristol City. Matt says Hull for the playoffs. We will come on to Hull and their 6-0 win against Bolton. At the bottom, really good day for Millwall. I was president for that. Door on tour. I bet he's happy after Forest. Love your channel. Thank you. John, I see Hull got lucky last time out. Yeah, just the 6 goals for them. So yeah, really good days for Millwall and Rotherham at the bottom down there. The only winners are Millwall. 3 straight wins over the Christmas period. Right, let's go to the top of the league where Leeds slipped up for the 2nd game in a row. 2 defeats in a row now for Leeds after those 7 straight wins. Colback scores, then a red card for Phillips. Red Dog, I was at the world famous City Ground, amazing from start to finish. We'll just focus on this game. I've got an Ipswich comment and a Sheffield United one. So let's comment on Forest and Leeds, and I'll try and answer those ones, and then we'll move down the table gradually. So if you are here for Ipswich, you've got a bit of a wait. So red card for Phillips. I think that was one of those ones under the new rules where you kind of follow through, and I think the wording is endangering an opponent, and you get the red card. Now I think the old school fans don't like it, but it is what it is. Phillips gets the red card. Then Clark and Alioski put Leeds 2-1 up with 10 men, which was pretty impressive. Colback, Daryl Murphy, one of our favourites, and Osborne, 3 in 10 minutes to see the game out. So Leeds' 2nd defeat in a row after 7 straight wins. I was moaning for the first 3 months of the season that no one was hitting 2 points per game. Are there any good teams? Leeds were well on it and above it, but now they've dropped below it, and that's why it's squeezed up. You really need someone to hit 2 points per game to stretch that table out and chase people along, like Norwich did first and then Leeds, but the little drop off here. Ben says you wouldn't think Leeds had 10 men at the start of that second half. Yeah, the way Leeds play. Right. Let's talk about Leeds' timing, though, because only one other team in the top 6 won. So if you're going to have a bad run, this is the good time because there's 2 weeks now. It's Derby next for Leeds as well, so that would be a good game at Elland Road. get a bit of a break and only one of the other top six. Where do you think Forest will finish? Well, let's talk about Forest. Excuse me. Yes, Angelo, this is live right now. Forest get their first win in 6. Need to get back into form. They're 4 points off the playoffs. When I saw them beat Ipswich, it all looked really, really good. Really solid at the back. Carvalho pulling the strings. Grabham scoring the goals. And since then, they went 5 without a win. Then all this chitter chatter about Karanka, which does to me seem a little bit odd. I'm not there, but I guess if they've invested the money, they need top 6 this season. Those owners. Then some of this talk about Grabban and why he's been left out and whatnot. So you would think Forest have the strength to get out there, but that 4-point gap might be a bit of an issue, given that Forest can be a bit cautious. Jack says, have to admire Lee's Bielsa attempts to win any game. And in the Championship, those 3-pointers, absolutely valuable. John says, problem is now a couple of dodgy results. Karanka thing will pop up again. Matthew says, grabbing his injuries. Okay, picked up a knock against Millwall. I stand corrected on that one. This is a great thing about doing this live. Fans of the teams can update us at the time. Dominic will come on to Ipswich at the end. So, great result for Forest. And Leeds, look, they're still top, and there's a sort of 10-12 day gap between the next game. The striker, Ben says, definitely an investment for us in January. Talking Forest, right? Brentford 1, Norwich 1. So Norwich, it's a little bit of a slip now for Norwich. 1 win in 5. They're 10th in the form table, and the big issue for Norwich is they play all the rest of the top 4, plus Birmingham, who are not nice to play against, over the next 4 games. So really interesting time for Norwich. Be interested to get your comments on how you think those 4 games are going to go for Norwich. It's West Brom and Leeds away as well. Birmingham at home, Sheffield United at home. Sheffield United in good form. So real make or break 4 games coming back after the FA Cup for Norwich. Jean-Vier with the goal in the first half of Brentford. Set play, closer with a set play. Ewan says Norwich are struggling with injuries. Yeah, they're missing Leitner. I don't know what's happening. If any Norwich fans watching on here, what's happening with Grant Hanley? Because I thought he was captain first team, and he seems to have been back a few weeks and put on the bench. I don't know whether they're easing him back in. But little slight worry. I mean, look, Norwich have done absolutely brilliantly. As I've always said, when I saw them play Ipswich in September and it was 1-1, I thought both sides would probably be in the bottom 8 or what have you. But Norwich have shot off, so they'll be well happy. But possibly, maybe they're going to drop into the playoff positions in the next few weeks. As I've said, if they don't, they deserve everything they get, because lots and lots of hard games. Ewan says Norwich can't defend set plays. Norwich fans want Hanley in, but Farke doesn't play him. Zimmerman in ahead of Hanley. Looked like Zimmerman was at fault for that late Derby winner as well, watching that one back. Brentford now 4 unbeaten. Are they starting to stabilise under Thomas Frank? A win, 3 draws in a row. I suppose they would have taken any kind of points after that horrible run that's in the drop right down the table. Moving on. So the team, let's just call it, the amount of goals Norwich concede surely means they can't get promoted. To be fair, West Brom are pretty bad in defence as well. John says Brentford will lose best players this window. We're all watching Brentford to see if they're going to get pillaged by Aston Villa and Dean Smith. They acknowledge being a selling club, but there's only so many little gems you can buy in for cheap and replace them. It's a hard old task, although Brentford have done it brilliantly the past few years. So Wigan 0, Sheffield United 3. Brilliant streak for the Tammy. Oh yeah, we'll talk about that on Villa. There, Sharp and McGoldrick, the best strike pair in the Championship. Not bad for a 32-year-old and a freebie. Chrissy Wilder is a legend. Not a bad shout. I think Adams and Jutkovic on the numbers. Yannick Wiltshire as well. I'll try and remember that. Let's just go over this game for the Blades. That's their 3rd win in a row. And if you look over those last 3 games, Blades have taken 7 points out of Norwich. And if you watched my match review after Sheffield United lost to West Brom, I was genuinely, God man, they need to spend. Everyone else is going to spend or they're going to drop out of the top 6. But the top teams have had the bad run. They've been the best team of the top 6, and now they're snapping on Norwich. And there's that game at Carrow Road in a couple of weeks as well, where Sheffield United will really, really fancy that. Quick talk about Wigan, and then we'll talk about Wiltshire and the Sheffield United front two. Wigan really, really tanking. The away form had been good. Yes, sorry, Callum, we've done Leeds and Forest, and we've done Norwich and Brentford. Don't tune out though, because it's still going to be a good live stream for the rest of it. So Wigan 4 points off the drop down to 20th. With regards to Sharp and McGoldrick, I don't necessarily think they're the best front two in the league, but I think what it says more is that Sheffield United get the most men forward and play some of the most attacking football in the league to give them all the chances. I think as an actual pair, Adams and Jutkovic work together very well. I think if you checked out the goals they assist for each other, but really impressed. I mean, actually looking at the numbers, I think Sharp's got 14, 15, so maybe they do have the most. Someone will put it up in the comments. Who has got the most goals between them as a pair. Remember also, there's not actually that many teams that play a pair. Often there's one, like Forest grabbing with the 3. 24 between them. That is more than, thanks Jamie, that is more than Jutkovic and Adams. I think they're maybe 21, 22. Yannick Wiltshire would be an interesting one because he's an outright winger, and obviously the Blades play with wing backs. So I don't know whether he'd be coming as a number 10. You'd think Kieran Dowell would do that, considering he just signed. So I don't know whether 22 Adams and Jutkovic. Thanks, John. The numbers say that that Sharp and McGoldrick are the best. Everything else is opinion. Always go with the stats, even into Robert, Preston fan. We'll talk about Preston in a little bit. But yeah, Wiltshire would be interesting if they played him as a wing back, because that would be very, very attacking. Saw him play well for Norwich against Ipswich last year, and then I saw him play really badly for Cardiff against Derby last year. So I've seen both sides of him, but there's definitely a player there. Also, had a brilliant game for Wigan against Ipswich way back. Tore Luke Chambers a new one, didn't he? On we go to Blackburn 2, West Brom 1. So West Brom have dropped to 4th, courtesy of Sheffield United's 3 straight wins. Big missed chance for West Brom. If they win this game, they would have been second. I think they're 3 points behind Norwich. Mulgrew has now got 8 goals from centre half for Blackburn. Dak comes back, 13th goal of the season in all comps. Rodriguez one back from the spot. Livermore straight red, so he'll miss the big game against Norwich. That is the big one. Surprised by Baggy's results. Oh, so Gale didn't play, so they missed Gale. You would, wouldn't you? So West Brom, though, the thing is, it's this game. They've got to back themselves. This game against Norwich next. If they win that game, they leapfrog Norwich. I don't know who Sheffield United have got because they're now in the way. But little drop off for West Brom. I've said it all the time. I do worry whether the manager there, Darren Moore, has got enough experience to see them through this whole slog for a promotion there. But we will see. Certainly player-wise. Blackburn after 3 straight defeats, first win in 6. They're still down in 15th, but 7 points separate 7th down to 16th. Room for manoeuvre for Blackburn, and QPR next. So that would be the Blades. I assume that would be at Bramall Lane as well. So QPR aren't the easiest team to play against. Although you'd rather play them at home than at Loftus. Right, let's talk about Derby 1, Borough 1. United home to QPR next league out. Right, okay, great. Derby 1, QPR 1. They share the points 5th versus 6th. Wilson 10 in all comps for him now. Hugel heads in the equaliser. Borough, little bit of a turnaround. 7 points in 4 games. Birmingham coming next, Matthew, I promise. We're working our way down the table, so Birmingham Wednesday next. Nobody's really convinced about Borough, though, I don't think. Matt says Derby County to buy in January. The FFP would say no, but we always think that with Derby, and they already do. Oh, hello, Glenn. Long time no see. Everyone has torn Luke Chambers a new one. Very true. If anyone's convinced by Borough, let me know in the feed here, but not playing great. Harry says Harry Wilson, one of the best young players in the Championship, very much so. Blues v Borough when the league is back. Yes, that will be an interesting one. Brentford improving much, says Mal. Bentley's form is a worry, the goalie there at Brentford. So let's talk a little bit about Derby. They're still inconsistent, flashes of excellent. But if you look, I think it's only 3 times they've done back-to-back wins. And Norwich and Leeds have done that a lot. So Derby's still a bit too inconsistent and probably was a nailed-on draw, that one. Right, we've got some Birmingham fans in here, so let's talk Birmingham. Wednesday 1, Birmingham 1. Fletcher for Wednesday. Adams, 12 for the season for him. 7 in the last 10, laid on by Jutkovic. 10 goals, 8 assists for him. I was waffling about Waghorn last year, I think 16 and 11. So Jutkovic nearly up there. Birmingham have West Ham in the Cup, then Borough, then Norwich, says Matthew. I will be at Norwich v Birmingham, so look out for a match review on that Friday, the 18th of January. I'll be at that one. No, we've got a lot of Norwich followers there. Would have took a point, says John. Shattered, same team for all the Christmas games. That's the thing with people like Birmingham and QPR on the edge there. They don't have the depth that Villa and Stoke do. We'll go on to Stoke in a minute. So really good performance by both of them. Good question there, Matt. We'll come on to. Oh no, we're on Sheffield Wednesday, so we'll talk about it right now. Sorry, Matt. Yeah, Steve Bruce is coming in February the 1st. So a bit of a weird one because his assistants, who I forget who they are. One's Stephen Clements and the other is Steve Agnew. Is it? They're going to take charge for those few games. Although if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I wonder if they keep winning, will Steve Bruce just delay it another month? Because Wednesday seemed to be on. I know they had a good flash period where they beat Villa away and they beat Ipswich. I remember. Yeah, Steve Agnew. So yeah, 8 points in the last 10 points above the drop zone. Looking all right for Wednesday. Just depends long term that owner and the money. Bruce not in until window closed. Maybe don't trust him with the cash. Maybe they don't have this. Matthew, not saying this because of the Blues, too reliant on Abraham. But we'll talk about Abraham in a minute because the ever-reliable Sun have a story about him. But yes, impressed with Birmingham. I know what to expect, but I'm still looking forward to seeing them at Norwich in a couple of weeks. Right, Villa 2, QPR 2. 2 for Abraham, 12 in 10 games. Ridiculous sort of football manager style stats. But the big story is that Wolves are going to be in for Abraham. I don't know what the deals are on these loans. Whether if the owner club tries to sell, they can just do it. But certainly be very interesting to see how Villa cope without him. I know that they've still got a lot of good players in the forward positions, and I guess someone like Scott Hogan would come in. But Abraham at Championship level is just ridiculous, proven ridiculous every time, always scoring. Rangers, Eze and Freeman, great goal by Freeman. He's always been a good player, hasn't he? 2-2. Rangers still in touch with the playoffs. They'll be very, very impressed. Thoughts on Ryan Manning going back to QPR from Rotherham? Manning's playing well for Rotherham. That would be a worry if you were a Rotherham fan. I didn't realise about that loan. Wolves to buy Abraham, then loan him to Birmingham. Yes, that would be mildly amusing, but I think they FA might be in touch with them if that does happen. Villa draw too many games. I've been really pro Villa the whole time, thinking, oh, don't worry, they're gonna come, But 38 points, so they're below Rangers and Birmingham, which is a real testament to Monk and McLaren's management to have those two squads above that brilliant Villa squad. 2 wins in 8 games, 5 draws in those 8 games. Just not enough wins for Villa. You see these streaks that the teams at the top go on. Villa need to start winning and start winning soon, else you get a gap in there and the top 6 chase hots up. Lots of traffic in the way, and it doesn't matter what you do. If you get a team ahead of you, like Cardiff and Fulham last year, everyone knew Fulham were playing better football than Cardiff, but Cardiff won 8 on the trot, and it didn't matter what Fulham did because they couldn't catch them. They just won their own games and, got it through. Villa defence is just poor and Smith not great with recorded teams at the back. Red Dog says Championship is wide open. Matt says Marcus Evans out. Yes, we will get to Mr. Evans in a little bit. Stoke 0. Lee Camp is a very underrated goalkeeper. He did a very amusing save in in that game yesterday. I saw on the highlights. How old is Lee Camp as well? Tightest I've seen the Championship in years. Oh, it's always tight, isn't it, Ben? Always all over the place. Great win for Bristol City. So Stoke 0, Bristol City 2. Afobe with missed pen. Jeju and O'Dowd with the goals. Bristol City in that chasing pack now behind the playoffs. Third in the form table. And this is the longest upswing under Lee Johnson. We always say he has a good streak and a bad streak. But this is a pretty long 8 games unbeaten on the upside of the pendulum. Camp is 34. Wow. Gary Rowett out, says Matt. Stoke 1 win in 5. 4 points in those games. Bottom half. Only 8 wins all season. If you think Villa's defence have ours, Rotherham, do you think Rowett will last the season? Let me know in the comments if you think Rowett will last the season. You would have thought that they'll give him... I would have thought they would have given him the whole season, and then if you give him the whole season, you've got to go into the next one. You know, otherwise, what's the point? You've got to back the guy. But I suppose if they don't see it going anywhere, then they just won't back him. Stoke fans, keep Rowett, he'll turn it around. Rowett will be gone by the end of January, says Matthew and another Matthew. Be interesting to see. I think the telltale, if they give him money, then he's definitely staying for the rest of the season. Although we've seen other teams, so I remember Norwich doing it with Alex Neil, literally the day that they couldn't make the playoffs, it was just out and in comes the new guy. So, not sure. Stoke definitely underperforming. Rowett probably already been touting his CV around everywhere, allegedly, not my views. Reading 1, Swansea 4. Rowett's personality is great though. I think that's some sarcasm there. The thing is, if Stoke don't go up, Butland and Allen are gone. I agree with that as well. Matthew there seemed a bit wasted in there. Stockley to Preston. This is Stockley from Exeter. Has been linked with everybody, hasn't he? Reading 1, Swansea 4. So Swansea thrash Reading. McBurney, Roberts, Van der Horn, McBurney again, 10th of the season for him. 4-0 on 40 minutes. Wow. Harriet consolation there. Swansea, they're still all over the place. You can sit and study their results over and again. You will not find a pattern. Back on Stoke there, Matthew. Once a fan base turns, yeah, we saw that with Ipswich and McCarthy. Once that vocal section of the fan base turn, yeah, you're a little bit screwed because it's there at every game. Kemar roof to Newcastle. Wow, I wonder how much that would cost. Reading for relegation looks fairly likely, said Matt. So yeah, Swansea, I still can't really predict what they're going to do. They've got Preston, Sheffield United, and Birmingham coming up, who are all teams, good teams, but just out, not really doing anything. Like Preston dropped off a little bit recently. I don't know, Sheffield United, a very good team. Reading, no win in 10, 23rd, 5 points from safety after Rotherham's win. Doesn't look good for Reading. Have Ipswich made any signings? Yes, a left back, but they're about to sell the other left back, so we'll see what happens there. Hull 6, Bolton 0. Why are Hull so good? I saw Hull play Ipswich. Bottom 3 look a little adrift. Rotherham, the only other likely that might drop into it, says John. Wigan are pretty pants. No chance of Ipswich getting Daryl Murphy after his performance against Leeds. Really showed that he still has it. Yes, what a difference someone like Daryl Murphy might make to Ipswich. Yeah, Hull are just incredible. Far and away the best team in the league, given that the top 3 have dropped off. Liam Bridcut to Ipswich. Yes, please. Bowen to Spurs for 20 million. That would weaken Hull. Hull look good at the moment. Fair play to them. Would you have Defoe at Ipswich and what's happening to Jonas? Would have anyone who can score. Jonas will probably be leaving and has played his last game. Ipswich can have Stockdale if you like. You can keep paying his wages, Birmingham, because he's on a fortune. But yeah, we had Stockdale before, could do with a more reliable goalkeeper. Will Keane to Ipswich as well. Lots of transfer stuff going in. That looks like it's going to happen. Keane to Ipswich. We'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about Hull because they're absolutely brilliant. So Grzycki with 2, Evandro, Martin, Bowen who just got mentioned, Dicko as well. Hull 13th. So for those people who think Hull, Will Keane is the Keane, it is Elliot. For those people who think that Hull might get the playoffs, they're still a long way back, 7 points off. Look, they're playing absolutely brilliantly, but 2.25 points per game off 12 games for Hull. Absolutely, stonking 100 points a season form. Kiefer Hull is keeping their best players. That's the interesting thing. Elphic's gone back. They don't seem to have missed him. Bowen, now that would be an interesting one if he were to go, because He's an excellent player. Although Grzycki seems to be doing stuff now, I always got the impression that he would go as soon as he started playing well. So yeah, not sure about Hull. They would look to get 7 points on teams like Borough and Derby, who are up there already. You need Borough and Derby to be pretty terrible for 4 or 5 weeks, and Hull to keep this going. Bowen to Spurs, maybe a loan back. If Bowen goes, they're screwed. Fraser Campbell is a top striker. Always liked him. Yeah, we'll see what happens with Hull, but it's going to take another 2 months of playing like that. Just an incredible run. Because, like I was going to say, in September, when I saw Ipswich Hull, it was like 23rd against 21st or something like that. And John Terrell and Jackson Irvine in the middle. Yeah, Jackson Irvine, good player. So I've got some good players, Hull, but no one saw this run coming. Bolton taking hammer in, still in 22nd. 3 points off safety with an inferior goal difference. I've written down here, if you gave Bolton, Reading or Ipswich a 2-point gap with 1 game to go, I think they'd all take it right now. Speaking of Rotherham, they had a great day yesterday. You have to have these days down the bottom where you win and nobody else does. And it just changes everything by 3 points, which is a lot when the teams down the bottom are that bad. So Rotherham 2, Preston 1, big win for Rotherham. Volks is in good form. Liam says Nemecha actually scored, no deflection this time. Hell officially froze over. There was a Rotherham player injured when he scored, though, wasn't there? So, yeah, Volks on good form. Smith, great cross from Newell for that one, and Nemecha with 1 back from Preston. Rotherham, second win in 19. But the thing with Rotherham, compared to all the other teams, is Rotherham seem to be playing somewhere near their potential, whereas all the other teams are, just not. You'd say Rotherham, you could actually applaud off a lot of the time, with such a low spend. We almost scored an own goal, 91 minutes, says John. Well, you got the 3 points though, and that's the main thing down the bottom there. Preston just brutalised by injuries the whole time. So 1 point in the last 4 for them. I was saying Preston would be in the top half. Matthew says, who's the best manager in your league, in your opinion? I've done an excellent video ranking all the managers, so look elsewhere. When the stream's finished, obviously, and I have spoken about that. So yeah, great win for Rotherham. When the chips are down, they seem to do all right. Booed off at half time, Rotherham. Interesting. Which brings us to Ipswich. Obviously, I was at the game yesterday. It was a disastrous collapse again. You'll think I'm massaging this, but Millwall fan actually, thoughts on our 3rd goal. Might have been a foul on you. No, it was just a terrible back pass, Angelo. But thanks for giving us credit for that. Evans is the only owner we've ever had. R.I.P. Ipswich. Did we get robbed? No, we just collapsed again. You could own Ipswich better than Evans. I'd give it a good go, certainly. Although I'd probably go bust spending loads of money on loads of players like Portsmouth did, but there you go. Yeah, terrible collapse by Ipswich. Played really well in the first half, but one tactical move, Steve Morrison in and put him on the right in a bit of space. And yeah, Ed Sheeran, get your wallet out, absolutely. Ipswich will go down. Do you think they'll go straight back up? You would hope so. Shame for Ipswich, relegation teams always collapse in that manner. That's very, very true. And it's the 2nd or 3rd time we've seen Ipswich just die off in the 2nd half. Should you have kept Mick? No, Matthew. This is now not to do with Mick. This is to do with Marcus Evans and the choices made by Paul Hurst with the squads. I think even if you had kept Mick finished 12th and you took all his best players away. So you do the maths. 12th minus best players equals And Mick was 16th the season before anyway. Before bringing in Welcome Garner, etc. It's to do with the decision to bring in Hurst and spend on the players that they did spend on whilst getting rid of all the other ones. Do you think we'll be okay in League One and bounce back? So depends on whether the youngsters are kept. Always die after we score first. Everybody loves playing Ipswich. Get Roy Keane back. No. So yeah, good run for Millwall. 3 wins on the trot for them. They're 6 clear of the bottom now. I always say these teams at the bottom are bad. If you win 3 on the trot, up you go. Do you rate Marcus Evans? Says Red Dog. Howitt, obviously not, considering where the club are. Maybe was he a little bit unlucky that Hurst did so badly that maybe just hired the wrong guy and trusted him. But did he try and do it on the cheap? That is the thing. Jamie says, League One, not always easy. Took us, Sheffield United, 6 years to come back up. This time last year when Millwall went 17 games undefeated. That was a team with Steve Morrison a year younger and George Sutherland as well. Harry from Bath is better than us. Ipswich fans, don't give up. Birmingham survived on the final day 3 seasons running. Did I feel sorry for Hurst in that he seemed a bit out of his depth? Yes, I did. I don't think he knew what he was going into. John says League One is a horrible league. Always do a post in the YouTube community thing where I ask questions, and we had quite a few of these. So let's just go through these before we go. So if you look in your YouTube feed, you'll see some of these questions. Ben, who I think was on, do you think Forest can sneak the top 6? I think they can. But Sheffield United keep playing well. Derby are a bit inconsistent and Borough are a bit all over the place. So those would be your two to come out, given that Sheffield United are coming up. That's the thing. Who are you going to take out of the top 6? I get asked this question every time. Will you continue making Championship-related content if Ipswich go down? Yes, definitely. No problem, Ben. Shout out. Yes, definitely continue making Championship content. I've toyed with a lot of ideas. I'd be interested in what subscribers say, because ultimately they dictate what I'm going to do. But we'll definitely... I've toyed with the idea of doing all the Ipswich away games and then going to other Championship games. But we will see how we go. But definitely, this will definitely be a Championship channel with the odd bit of Ipswich. I would have thought, hey, they might still stay on. Teams such as Leeds that actually want to come and play football allow Forest to play their natural game, attack into space and counter. Yeah, so that's probably a good point with Forest. They're better suited in open games like that. They can get a bit stodgy, Forest, when it's a defensive game. Evil Adam, how much do you think McGoldrick would be worth now? 9 goals in 20 games plus a few assists. I assume when you're talking about his worth, not his resale value, because his resale value is very, very little given his age and his injury record. But what's he worth to Sheffield United? Loads. Ipswich fans all knew that if David McGoldrick was fit and stayed fit, you know, he was always in the team and he always put numbers on it. Sheffield United suits him way better than Ipswich does. One, because it's only an hour away from Nottingham and he's not messing his hamstrings up. Yeah, he's 106 years old, says John. But the worth of the team, very, very good player. Very good player. And I think that style of football suits him. He's got better players around him doing more attacking than he did at Ipswich. So it's no surprise to Ipswich fans, honestly. He just had to stay fit. McGoldrick was badly managed, says Glenn. Shouldn't have had to train. Should have done a Paul McGrath on him. Forest for the playoffs, I think we've already covered that. McGoldrick hasn't been injured once. Travelling 3 hours a day didn't help him. I think we always agree. Yes, there will be a preview for the FA Cup games, Matt. With Leeds and Norwich and West Brom dropping points, there's now a chance for the rest of the teams. I totally agree. I think I said that at the top of the video. That was Robert. Yes, it's edged up and teams do get nervous. Now, Ipswich need to go for... Well, Cameron Jerome's already said no. Leon Clark, I think, is important there. Rudy Gestead might be doable. I think Paul Lambert knows him as well, doesn't he? Norwich got a hard-fought draw despite injuries to key players. What are your thoughts? West Brom, Norwich. Right, give me some stuff in the comments here. West Brom versus Norwich. I don't want to be biased. Norwich could get something. If Gale's playing for West Brom, I know... who's the really good centre midfielder? Livermore is going to be out, but... Yeah, you can just see Norwich. You can see Norwich scoring, but you can see, yeah, it is out the baggies, John. You can see West Brom outscoring them. Draw. Draw wouldn't do any of them any good. Norwich last minute winner again, says Elliot. 99th minute winner. Yeah, going to be really, really interesting one. 2-1 West Brom. Norwich can't continue this run. Liam says 0-0. You should start making a Championship Team of the Week video. Yeah, not a bad idea. Baggies to sneak it 5-4. Who, in your opinion, this is a good one. I'll be interested in the feed on this one. Best goalkeeper in the Championship, Norwich 3-2 last minute goal. I think I've seen a couple of good goalkeepers before. The Blackburn goalkeeper was very good against Ipswich. Raya. Lumley looks quite good for QPR. Then you've got expensive ones like Johnston up there. Dean Henderson says, oh, Butland. God. Yeah, I think that's probably the end of the argument. Dean Gherkin, that's probably some sarcasm there. Most mental, Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson's going to be a good player, isn't he? I think you're all right. I think it is Butland, isn't it? When you look at it on paper, if you looked at market value, Butland would be way ahead. Butland any day of the week. Yeah, I think you guys have nailed that one. But there's some good other. The guy for QPR, is it like Lumley? No, seriously, Dean Gherkin. I think he deserves a piece. Tim Krul. The guy Lumley will be worth a bit of money. Lee Camp, best ponytail. Really? I'm top knopping it tonight. Lee Camp beats Butland. Do you think Preston will end up in the bottom 3? PS, love the videos. No, definitely not. No, Preston are a good team with lots of injuries. We've had a couple of bad spells, whereas Ipswich are a bad team, Reading are a bad team, and Bolton are a bad team. And I think a good team will also survive. What areas do you think Ipswich need to invest in January? You are a great pianist. Thank you very much. Who do I think will go down? Not Peacock, Farrell. Yeah. Actually, Villa just signed a keeper for 7 million. Lee Camp, cult hero. Ben, you are a better manager than Lambert. Not sure about that. Yas Daddy says Oliver Carter. Where are we? Ipswich need to invest striker who can hold the ball up. Although Ellis Harrison was really good yesterday. And when Cole Skews is not there, a defensive midfielder. Can Billy Sharp get 30 goals? Do you know, I would love someone to get 30 goals because no one seems to have done it for a while. It always used to be sort of 2 or 3 players tracing for 30 goals. There we go. Thoughts on QPR this season? Asked Piers. Come on, Ben, give us a joke. I'm not funny, Kyle. I can't give you a joke. What do you call a fish with 3 eyes? Fish. Given the position, can Ipswich attract the right players? Probably not. Money talks, though. Ipswich could do with a commanding centre midfielder, but there you go. Thoughts on QPR? Very impressed, Piers. Great job by McLaren there. I wonder where Ipswich would be if they'd hired McLaren. Hey, Lucy, what is your realistic top 2 for the end of the season? West Brom, players could carry them there. And then one of Leeds, Norwich, Sheffield United sit on the fence there. Do you think Stoke will get the playoffs, says Ricky? No, I don't. Way too far back, and they're already talking about rift between fans and manager. Ben says, will Hull go up to the Premier League again? Too far back, but best team in the league at the moment. Do you think we should get Darren O'Day back? Where is Darren O'Day? Goodness me, Stoke need a new manager. Do you think calling our loan players will strengthen the team? I assume that's an Ipswich comment. Possibly. Wolfenden couldn't have done any worse than Chambers for the penalty or Pennington for the back pass. Love both of them as well. Harvey Barnes leaving Albion. That'd be an interesting one. See, this is the thing with the loan players with Abraham and Barnes. Preview show for the FA Cup game. Yes. Will I be going on the Talk Norwich City podcast? If I'm invited, I will go on the Talk Norwich City podcast. So we need new fullbacks. Elder's coming, so there is a new one. Karenka is safe, says Craig Charles, the one from Red Dwarf. Not sure about that. Is time up for Ipswich? I'm not going to answer that, but you give me one piece of evidence that says Ipswich will stay up. Leicester were talking about recalling him, talking about Harvey Barnes. I guess he's a great player, Barnes, isn't he? Do you agree with me that Ipswich mental attitude drains away? Yes, I do. TWTD Ipswich site is getting vitriolic. Craig Charles for manager with Rimmer and Crichton as assistants. Harry from Bath should be at Ipswich. I would have said Villa would be in the playoffs, but losing Tammy, yeah, that will be. Hogan would get goals. Maybe Codger would get goals. Oliver, we're in a different room. The dogs are downstairs today, so we're in a different room. There you go. Right, guys, what the hell is the time? I've got to do the Blue Monday podcast in a minute. Where's Cedric? He's downstairs, Ben. But glad everyone's getting involved in the fish chat. No worries, Oliver. We just didn't want dogs barking in the background. We should have recruited Steve Bruce. What's happened to Stephen Gleeson? Birmingham have him. Cheers, Ben, again. Up the baggies. So we'll try and do something before the FA Cup on... who's on the pod with me? John is Renegade Statman and David Diamond. Great stream, says Ben. We'll try and do something before the FA Cup. Maybe I'll just focus on the Championship teams in the FA Cup. Ashley says, have you seen the Sunderland documentary? And yes, I agree with this. Yes, I have. And I totally agree. Am I happy with Paul Lambert? Yes. How do you turn on a lemon? I don't know what that means, Garrison. No. Ben, are Ipswich worse than Sunderland? I'll judge that on the points total at the end of the season, but it's a possibility. tickle its... That's awful, Gareth. Absolutely awful. That was the joke. Okay. Birmingham at West Ham, the dark days of football. Right. Nearly done 40 minutes here, so I'm really sorry. It's a really long one. Thank you, everybody, for getting involved. We'll try and do one possibly Thursday night before Liverpool Man City to talk about the FA Cup games. Focus on the Championship one. I'll put a thing up for questions. Thank you, everybody, for doing the stream with me. It's absolutely brilliant. That lemon joke has done me. Yeah, it's done me as well. It was a very funny joke, Gareth, to be fair. Right, follow me on Twitter at Benjamin Bloom. Say hello. If anyone's going to Accrington, tweet me and I'll meet up with you and say hello there. You do a great job, says Angelo. It's a very happy meal fan. Thanks, Angelo. Also, if you're going to any of these games, Leeds, Derby, Ipswich, Rotherham, Norwich, Birmingham, I'm going to be at all of them in the coming weeks, Ipswich, Accrington as well. So tweet me, come and say hello, smart me up about your team. Indeed. Right, thank you for watching, everybody. Check out the Blue Monday podcast later on tonight and see you for the next stream before the FA Cup. Goodbye.